G'day folks, Rod here from the Learn to Paint Academy, and I'm recording this special video for those of you who have requested more information about joining me in the More Certified Instructor program. So if you are interested in starting your own art teaching business, I think you'll find this video message here today to be particularly important to you. I'm recording this on the 21st of May, 2020, and as you would know, we've been going through some challenging times in the world right now. Global pandemic, hundreds of thousands of people died, millions of people getting the coronavirus, and economies around the world being thrown into chaos, and lots of people losing their jobs. And so it may have crossed your mind, if you're somebody who's thinking about starting an art teaching business, it's possible that it's crossed your mind and you've wondered, what's happened to the art teaching world during this pandemic period. And so as I record this, we're 2 months really into the pandemic, where it started to take a global impact late May. March, well, really it's 3 months, isn't it? March, April, May. So how has it impacted on the art teaching business and on artists is a very valid question. So one thing that's for certain is that a lot of people who have been in traditional sort of jobs but maybe have a passion for art or have a hobby as art, those people have started to take their hobby or their passion for art more seriously and looking for ways to be able to turn that passion, that hobby into an income stream, as I've been able to do and help other artists do. And so maybe that's you, maybe that's where you're at right now. Maybe your traditional work and income stream has been disrupted by the pandemic. And if it is, my heart goes out to you. It's a terrible situation, but it's also a great opportunity to reflect on the life you were living and the life you desire to live after we get through this pandemic period. And that's what I want to talk to you about in this video. So there's no doubt that the lockdown, which happened in most countries around the world, the lockdown, which restricted our movements and it restricted gatherings of people, had a big impact on art teachers around the world. Pretty much all the professional artists that I know make most of their income from teaching art classes and workshops. Look, it's a little known fact, but a good majority of professional artists, especially more traditional sort of artists, make a large part of their income from teaching art, from running around doing workshops and so on. And so that's been massively impacted. I've had my own workshops and classes cancelled. I had a number of, I had a 3-day workshop here in Noosa, and I had a number of 1-day workshops at different places around Queensland, and they've all been cancelled, right? So, which is not so much of a problem for me because it wasn't a major part of my income. But I know some professional artists who have been hit very hard by the fact that they can't earn their income through doing what they normally do, which is physical workshops and classes. Now, I love doing physical workshops and classes, but you don't want to base your entire income stream around doing one thing. And this is what a lot of professional artists I've noticed have been doing. They're very good artists, but their artwork doesn't sell so much in the current climate because the art world has moved on and maybe their art doesn't fit into what people want to buy these days. So they've started teaching, and then they've built a business around teaching, which is all good and well, but you never want to rely on one thing, right? If your only income source is teaching physical workshops, then you become vulnerable to things like the pandemic. And to think that these sort of things aren't going to happen at some point is kind of a naive way of going about life. You have to always expect the worst to happen. You don't plan for the worst, but bad things happen to us all, right? Just so happens that this bad thing has happened on a global scale. And, to be honest, there will be other pandemic type situations coming down the track. I think we'll see a higher frequency of these type of globally impacting events happening in the future, right? So what that means is if you only have one income stream, then you're vulnerable to disruption through these type of events. But we all have an opportunity right now to look ahead to the future and say, how do I prepare myself so that I'm not only shelter myself from the impact of a pandemic or whatever, but I can actually position myself to thrive during that time. Okay. So pretty much every art teacher around the world has had all their classes cancelled, which means their income's been cancelled as well. They're back to zero. And that's not a good position to be in, and it's not one that I recommend. So in the More Certified Instructor program, traditionally what that's been about is teaching you how to run physical art classes, to set up your own little art school and run physical art classes and workshops. And that's what the whole model's been about. But I'm going to talk to you about how we're going to upgrade that and move away from this problem of just one source of income. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely love doing art classes and workshops. And as soon as I'm able, I'm going to get back to doing art classes and workshops ASAP. In fact, I've already got my calendar planned out for the rest of the year, kicking off in August. So I get a good run to the end of the year of doing art classes, art workshops, and so on. So I'm not saying don't do that in the future, but don't rely on that as your only income stream is what I'm saying, right? So here's what I've seen is that over the last 3 months, a lot of very well-known artists are trying to reinvent themselves, and they're trying to build an online teaching platform. Now, a few of them have done it quite successfully, but there's a lot of them making a lot of mistakes, and the mistakes are to do with the business model. I was just on a live stream today with a very well-known watercolor artist. I mean, this is somebody who's got, over 10,000 people liking him and following him on his Facebook page, right? So to put that into context, I've got, I don't know, what have I got? About 12, 13,000 people on my Facebook page, and I've got about 20 something thousand on YouTube. So this particular artist, right, he was doing a live stream, and he was talking about the fact that he started off doing all these live streams, and he was getting good numbers initially, but the numbers have been dropping off. And he's using a business model which I don't think really works. And if you just listen to me for a few minutes, I could tweak what he's doing and help him develop a far more powerful business model that would actually grow. So what happened is, when the pandemic hit and all of his workshops were cancelled, he moved to online. Smart move, right? And he got a response where it kicked up like that, but then it's reached a peak and then now it's starting to drop down, a bit like the coronavirus curve, right? And it's starting to disappear. And there's a fundamental reason why. It's just because he doesn't understand the business model of how to make it work, right? But what I've noticed is a lot of artists who have now started to move online. They're doing live streams and they're filming courses and things like that. And they're having to learn it as they go. And as I said, a lot of them are making fundamental mistakes. They don't understand how to generate the income, right? Where's the money made in doing things like live streams and filming online courses and filming videos, right? I know one artist who's on YouTube is about to crack the 100,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, which is phenomenal. I've only got about 21,000 subscribers, right? 100,000 is an incredible number, but he still works as a tradesman, right? He doesn't generate enough income from that audience to be able to support himself as a full-time artist. Why? Because he doesn't understand how to use videos and this online world to create an income stream for it. In other words, it comes back to the business model of how do you make it work. And right now what I'm seeing is, a number of professional artists going online, but also a whole lot of amateur artists, semi-professional artists, people who make a few sales here and there. They're now starting YouTube channels and filming videos and doing all this stuff online, and which is great, but without the right plan and the right strategy, they're going to struggle, right? Because what's going to happen is there's going to be this big influx of artists now coming online, filming videos, doing live streams, posting more regularly to their Facebook pages, and Instagram, and setting up a YouTube channel. So there's a big influx of artists right now doing that. Most of them aren't going to make any money out of doing it, unfortunately. They might make some, but not a sustainable and growable income stream like I've been able to do. And, it's a shame because the opportunity is massive. So what's the future of the art teaching world after we move past the pandemic? Well, I believe the coronavirus pandemic has forever altered people's mindset about how they receive information, how they get education, and how they go about working, right? The number of people working from home right now is at its all-time highest. And as we get past the pandemic, I think a huge number of those people will continue to work from home, rather than commute into the office, because businesses have learned, hey, we don't need to have everybody here in the office. So we've crossed this threshold, if you like, where people now gracefully accept the fact that we don't need to congregate in groups. And there's going to be more fear and uncertainty and anxiety in the world around the gathering of groups. Okay, this is just going to be a natural thing, I believe. And I think this pandemic we just had is just going to be one of numerous iterations of the same pandemic, right? As you know, as we go, bigger and worse flus, and so there's going to just be this global shift away from the gathering of groups, and we're going to do things more in isolation. And that's where the internet and online comes in a massive way. Now, again, let me iterate. I'm not suggesting this is going to be in totality, because I'm still going to be doing art classes and workshops. In fact, under this video, I'll put a web link to, I'm about to move studio tomorrow. I'm moving into a brand new studio. I've hired a factory, put a lease on a factory. You can see I've got some of my gear behind me here in the office. I'm about to move into a brand new studio, which is going to cost me $35,000 a year, right, for the lease. I wouldn't be doing that if I didn't think that physical workshops weren't still going to be important and relevant. They are, right? But there's this shift towards doing more and more online. And so that creates opportunity. The opportunity for you right now, if you're considering starting an art teaching business, is to become basically a pioneer in the world of teaching art online. Okay. Now, when I started 6 years ago, I think I started my YouTube channel, and then started filming courses and making them available online. There were very, very few people doing it. And I had to learn the hard way. I made so many mistakes, and we didn't have the technology 6 years ago that we have today. Like live stream just didn't exist when I started. Plus a whole lot of other platforms just didn't exist. I made a ton of mistakes. But through all of that, I learned a hell of a lot. And I've been able to build a business model where I make significantly higher incomes than celebrity artists on YouTube with 100,000 subscribers. I make a huge amount more money than what they do. I make multiple six figures through the Learn to Paint Academy. Okay, it's a combination of online classes, physical workshops, and selling my own artwork. Okay, so I make multiple six figures, and with a much smaller audience than some of the artists out there on Instagram and on YouTube and so on. So what I'm trying to tell you is I've learnt through 6 years of trial and error and refining my business model and getting it to a point where I know how to build an art school, both offline through workshops, okay, 1 day workshops, 3 day workshops, and so on, and online, and combine those two together so you get this perfect synergy of a business model that helps you generate an income. And so if we have another pandemic and you lose the physical workshop income, you've still got the online income, right? I can show you how to do that. There's not many artists out there who have successfully set up the type of business that I've set up, who can actually show you the steps that they've gone through to get there. Okay. But I've been able to do it, and I'm now teaching those in our More Certified Instructor program how to do it step by step. There's a lot to it, and I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's been easy. It's been hard, and it requires work. But that's going to happen whether you go out and do your own art teaching business on your own, or you come and join us. Both ways requires work. The difference is you're going to spend 6 years making the same mistakes and having the same challenges I made, or do you want a faster track so that your work is more effective, because I can guide you and educate you along the way to show you exactly what works in the new world, not the old world, right? The art world's changed forever. The world's changed forever, but the art world has changed forever in the last 3 months. It absolutely has. And if you don't understand the direction we're going in with the art world, then you're going to be left behind, right? So there's so many artists that are stuck in the old model, the gallery model and the workshop model. They're so stuck in the old way of doing things that they're going to die on the vine, right? Now, this is real talk. This is not me just making things up. I live in a beautiful part of Australia in Queensland called the Sunshine Coast. And there's about 380,000 people live, and it's a fairly big area, but about 380,000 people. But in that whole area, there's only a handful of really good art galleries, okay, that know how to sell art. There's a few dicky little ones that have no clue, and they don't never sell much artwork. But there's only a handful of really good art galleries where they know how to actually sell artwork. And I just got the message a couple of days ago that one of them, one of the best, right, has just decided to close their doors and not reopen. That's the reality of the art world we live in today. And it's only going to be worse after the pandemic, the dust settles. You're going to see a lot of galleries will close. The old retail, on high street type model just isn't going to work moving into the future. Now, there will always be galleries, but there'll be a handful of bigger galleries. And it's going to be harder to get into them because there's going to be a lot more artists wanting to try and get their artwork in there. But the opportunities online are immense, huge. Just yesterday, Facebook announced that they're going to expand their shops program so that anybody can retail physical products through their Facebook page, their Instagram, and the whole thing's going to be interconnected back to a Shopify store. And it's going to be incredible, right? For small business owners, you and I, if you know how to use them with the right strategy. Because these are just tools. And if you don't know how to use the tools the right way, then it doesn't matter, right? The strategy is what's important. So let me just give you a bit of an insight as to what's happened in my business over the last few months. Okay, so in April, I had my best, and this is right in the middle of the worst of the pandemic, right? And I was a little bit concerned about which way to go. I had to cancel all my workshops and roll everyone into future dates. But I ended up having my best month ever by a long way, okay, by a long way. And people started searching online in greater numbers than they've ever done before. And I think the pandemic's made people realize that, hey, time on this planet's short for a lot of us. I may as well tap into my passions, my hobbies, the things that are going to give me joy, and spend more time doing that. And that's what I found, is that my sales just went through the roof, right? And I was scratching my head thinking this can't last because it's so much beyond my normal sales level. So here we are in May. It's the 21st of May today, and I'm already at the 21st of May. I've already beaten my sales for the entire month of April, which was previously my best month ever. Okay, so I'm 2/3 of the way into May, and I've already beaten my best month ever, which means obviously this is going to be my best month ever. Now, I'm not telling you any of that to brag or to say, isn't Rod great or anything like that. I just want to give you some insight as to what's actually happening right now. This is the greatest opportunity in the history of the world for those artists who can see the opportunity and can embrace it and say, you know what, I want to be involved with that. And I want to start my own art teaching business, because you can see that the whole model's moving online, right? It's going to be an 80% online, 20% physical workshops model by the end of this year. The transition's happening right now. It's unfolding right before our very eyes, right? Whereas it used to be 80%, 20%. You go back to January of this year, I would say most people who learn art went to an art class, went to a workshop, and only 20% of people learning art were doing it online, right? But now that's just flipped completely. It's now 20-80, 20% in physical workshops, 80% are going to be online. And you can just see that trend happening right now as I'm talking to you. So this message isn't for everyone. It really isn't, because what I'm proposing to you is that you are in a unique position right now. If right now in your mind you're going, I really, really want to build a business around my art, and I'd really love to be able to teach art and share my passion for art with other people around the world, right? If that's what's going through your mind right now, and you can see that the world's just changed like that in 2 or 3 months, and the entire model's flipped over on its head, and it's now a predominantly online art world. The whole art world is predominantly gone online, right? And it's going to stay that way and continue. That's the new trend in the art world, I believe. And so if you want to be part of that, the best thing you can do is to find somebody like me who already has a successful online art world business, and can show you what to do, can show you the strategy, okay? Now, when I set up the More Certified Instructor program, it was obviously geared more towards physical workshops and physical classes. It made sense back then. I started that program 5 or 6 years ago, right? And I've been teaching artists all around the world since then how to start their own art teaching business and go out and run art classes and workshops and how to market themselves and how to teach and how to use the More method of painting to be able to get great results for their students. I've been teaching all that for 5 or 6 years. But now that the world's turned upside down and we're now basically an online model, I'm going to ramp up the More Certified Instructor program so that we teach more and more about the online model, okay? The online model. How do you start to film yourself? You know, when I started filming myself, it was on a mobile phone. You could start right now today filming yourself and learning how to teach via video. And then when you learn that and start to package that together and put it into courses and projects and learn how to attract students to that online through Facebook and YouTube and so on, and then learn how to sell it and to do live stream, and you just get this momentum that starts to build and build and build. And, you know, it's taken me 5 years to build a multiple 6-figure business. I actually started 8 years ago, but it was really 5 years ago when I moved into this house, which I'm just about to leave, this studio. That's when it really started for me. And it started with a mobile phone, right? Some of you have seen my early videos and a big backboard. And that's how I started filming myself. I could show you how to do that, but then take it to a point where you create an ongoing income. And I'm building out a whole new training module inside the More Certified Instructor program. All right. So if you want to get involved, then look, I'm going to put the link underneath here. Now, this is not for everyone. I understand that, because I have to be honest with you. It's going to take work. It's going to take persistence. It's going to take dedication. This is not something you just press a button and you're making money, right? You're going to build a real world business that predominantly teaches art online and some are offline as well. And you're going to set it up in the right way with the right strategy behind it so that it actually makes money, okay? And look, I can see a whole lot of professional artists who are very good at the art, but have no clue about the business and the strategy and how to turn it into an income. So what I recognize is I'm nowhere near as good as them as far as artwork goes. I'm okay, right? I'm a good artist, but I'm a much better teacher, and I've got the right strategy behind me. And that strategy has built momentum and has set me free from ever having to have a job again. So I just get to spend all my time making art. And as I said, I'm moving into a new studio tomorrow. It's a factory, you know, it's much bigger than what I've already had. And that's all because of the success I've been able to achieve online. And again, I'm not saying it to brag. I just want to try and get inside your mind and say, look, this is the moment in time, the unique moment in history. It's the greatest opportunity in the history of the art world, I believe, for ordinary artists like you and I to step up and build a business around our art and to get free of the rat race so we never have to have a job again, and to live a lifestyle where we just make art and we share it with other people and we generate an income stream around that. Now, I don't know if that resonates with you and if you're the person I'm here today to share this message with, but if it's you, then click on this button underneath and go and check out all the information on the More Certified Instructor program. And just know that I'm about to ramp it up with a whole lot more content around how to do the online side of the business, right? There's already a lot of training in the More Certified Instructor program around that, but I'm about to ramp up and add more training to that for you. But you need to join. So click on the button underneath here, go and select your option to join us, and then I'll see you on the inside, and we'll help you start to build your art teaching business. All right, cheers for now.